back everyone on Let's Play of Kid Icarus on the Wii Virtual Console. It's time for us to finish off the game. We have 3 more levels left. The last of the Skyland levels, the Skyland Fortress, and then level 4-1, which is outside of Palatuna's palace. We'll actually fight Medusa. All these levels are going to be different. The first one is going to be a vertical that we're kind of used to. And then we're going to have a fortress that we're used to. And then, interestingly, the final level of the game becomes like a shmup, a shoot-'em-up type game. Horizontal shooter where we will equip the wings of Pegasus, the mirror shield, and the light arrows. And yeah, it's kind of a unique level, so we'll see that in just a little bit. But first, let's finish off the Sky World here, the Skyland. Take out the Metroids. We want to clear out as many as we can right now. Because we don't want them falling on us when we're doing jumping from platform to platform. There's a lot of tricky jumps in this area. Also, we don't want to take too much damage because I don't want to have to use up any more of my bottles. I'm going to do some farming off-screen in the fortress to max out the bottles. Not that I need the max bottles, I just want to show it off, and also to get the 999 hearts. That is one of the requirements to get the best ending, to max out the hearts, so we will be getting the best ending in this playthrough, but I'll also be showing off the other endings that you can get based on how many things you max out. Way slowly up here. That hop jump is pretty tricky. That was lucky there. That green platform stuck around. Like I said, that harp jump is pretty quick. It's pretty tricky to do. So I'm just gonna avoid that harp. We don't need any more hammers. There's not a lot of Centurions to get in the next fortress, and you can only have a max 30 anyway. We won't even get close to that. But Centurions ain't that helpful anyway. They're not gonna last very long against the final fortress boss. Gotta be careful here. These avoid your inclination to duck to avoid those fireballs that those cactuses throw at you. It's a good place to kind of farm some hearts. I'm gonna max out my bottles. That's what I'm going to basically do the farming for. You can max out with 8 bottles, but as you'll see in the final level, I won't even need them. Still just like to kind of show it off. I'm just going to sit here, and once these guys are defeated and get their hearts, then a new group will spawn. There's a bunch of tricky jumps coming up here. Something that you look like they can barely make, but also one of the things you're gonna have to do is going to have to do a tap jump coming up, because there's a ceiling overhead, and if you do a full jump, you're gonna bump your head on the ceiling and fall down. So a feather makes the jump a little bit easier. I'll show it off in just a little bit, but if you don't have a feather, it is possible to make the jump without. Some quotes here. The Octos enemies. Like Octoroks almost from Legend of Zelda. It's also made by Nintendo, but not they don't spit rocks like the ones in Zelda do. Kid Icarus not as famous as the Zelda franchise or even the Metroid franchise that it shares the engine with. I think a lot of people tend to know it now, mainly because Pit and Palatuna are characters in the Smash Brothers game, which is like a Nintendo fighter, where different characters from Nintendo games fight each other, trying to knock themselves off a platform. I know there was a game for the Game Boy of Myth and Monsters that came out. Here's that tricky tack jump. You gotta do a slight tap of the A button to make it there without hitting your head on that stone above you. But there's a Myth and Monsters, which is a sequel on the Game Boy, and then after that there wasn't one until Kid Icarus Uprising on the 3DS. So most of the games have been on handhelds. Just slowly make our way up. Not too much longer to go. Once you see the Metroids appear, and then you know that you're pretty much at the end. You take over for the Octoroks, Octos enemies. One more door here to go into. Got a shop. I'm going to buy a chalice just to get some health. I don't want to waste a bottle. And get into this. There's going to be a few difficult rooms we've got to pass through before we get to the hot springs in the fortress coming up. So it's just a little cheaper to buy the chalice there than potentially waste another bottle. Just finish falling off these octopuses until no more appear. We head on in. Got quite a decent score there. But score doesn't matter anymore because you've already maxed out our health. You max out your health at 200,000 points. That is another one of the conditions to get the best ending. So what's really annoying about this fortress is there's a lot of rooms with eggplant wizards in them that are in tricky spots. Like for instance, that one right there, if the eggplant wizard decides to throw the eggplants high, there's nothing you can really do to avoid them as you're coming down. There's a hospital near the beginning. When we get to a room where we're going to go left. If you go right, you can eventually get to a hospital. Which is good because on the way to the hot springs, there's another room with eggplant wizards. Another one where you approach from the top, and if they decide to throw a high eggplant while you're coming down off the ladder, it's gonna hit you and turn you into a eggplant, and you're gonna have to find the hospital. At the beginning here, it ain't that bad to find a hospital because the hospital's over to the right, a few screens over. But toward the end, there's a really tricky room that if you do get hit, you basically almost have to backtrack through the entire fortress because to get to the hospital and then get back on track, it's just way, way long. Thankfully, that chalice paid off because I didn't have to use up one of my bottles, which reduced the amount of time that I'm going to have to farm. Right before the boss, there was a shop, and I'm just going to, 2 rooms before the boss, I'm going to farm hearts to be able to max out my bottles in that shop. I said not that I really need to, because I don't end up using any bottles on the final level. But it just didn't feel right if I didn't max it out. Just gotta be careful that the eggplant wizards take out one of them. Another one sneaked off the side. As long as they throw a high one, we'll be safe. And we're back on track. So when those snakes fall down to the left there, that way we don't have to worry about them getting in our way. You know, if you defeat all 4 of the snakes and pick up their hearts, new ones will just keep spawning. So, see if we can try to make it through this room without getting hit. Woohoo! We managed to do it. Kind of difficult, like so you gotta be really precise on your jumps. Just a little too early and you'll get hit. A little too late, you're gonna get hit by the one on the top. We actually don't meet all the enemies in this level. We ain't gonna meet these blue Uranus enemies. But if we would have had to go to the first hospital, they're on the way to there. But on the unless you go to that hospital, they're pretty rare. We're gonna see the red Uranus though quite a bit, a tougher version. But the blue one is just the same. They basically the only thing different about them is they have only 1 hit point, do 1 damage, and only drop a small heart. As many hearts as I can here, as I said, that'll just reduce the amount of farming that I have to do. In the end, it takes about 20 minutes of farming, but like I said, I will do that off screen. No use watching me just kill the same enemy over and over again for hearts. So, your time is valuable, so. And because your time is valuable, for anyone who has watched any of my playthroughs, really appreciate it. Let's head on down, grab another Centurion. That'll be the last one we get, because, like I said, there's not a lot on the way to the boss. So, these guys are like spec-nose variants. There's always a different variant in all the fortresses. Yeah, too bad, like I said, we don't have the longbow and the crystals and the fire arrows for these fortresses. That Centurion is really difficult to get. It's so hard to, you have to jump precisely and hit him. And there's that spike that's causing a problem. Now this is the room to the right here that's really difficult. Because the eggplant wizards, yeah, you can see it's really difficult. You gotta basically wait until they both throw a high one. And you gotta hope that you manage to finish off with the one on the same level as you real quickly before this next one, the one on the bottom that's hiding, throws an eggplant. That just turns you into an eggplant. So I got lucky there. I said I reset the room a few times, but in the end, I managed to get through. And that's pretty much the last tricky part in this fortress. Just got a few more rooms to go through. The boss is over to the right, and like I said, luckily, right before the boss, there's going to be a shop. And shops we can just re-enter back and forth in, so we can fill up our health. And I'll be filling up my bottles there. I'll actually show off the trick to intimidate the shopkeepers. I haven't done that at all. But here are there are the stats for the blue Uranoses. I said they're much weaker than the red ones that we fought earlier. Let's get some life. I said I'm just going to farm this guy until I get the max amount of hearts and max out my bottles. Now, A and B on the second controller will lower shop prices. Said I could have done that throughout the entire game, but didn't want to kind of cheat. But here is the final fortress boss, Pandora, and it just disappears every so often. Even though it disappears, you can still just shoot it even when it's disappeared. It won't damage it, but shooting it while it's disappeared will cause it to reappear and get you to the point where you can damage it again. Not a very difficult boss. Just gotta watch the random bubbles. The random bubbles jumping around makes it really useless for the Centurions here. It's the 4 that I brought with me. Didn't last too long. Pandora lasts a little bit longer though. Doesn't have any increase in health, so it'll actually take less hits to defeat it than the Hedru, the boss of the second fortress, the big snake. But we don't get as many opportunities to pump arrows into it as we did with the snake, so it will take a little longer even though it takes less shots. Just gonna play safe. Best is when Pandora goes low to the ground. You can really pump arrows into it. There's a way you can mash if you press down when you shoot. You get into a duck animation and it resets your shooting animation, so you can really pump arrows in really quick. But I'm not a good masher, never really used it. I know there's also one just recently watching Ghost and Goblins Marathon that you can do a attack cancel in that game as well. If you press tap forward when you throw a weapon, it cancels the remainder of the throwing animation, and you can throw a little bit faster. The speedrunner Aquas Retro Gaming Live TV. Well, actually, that's where I found out about him. But he has his own channel on Twitch, of course, and he does every 3 months a Ghosts and Goblins marathon. So here in the final level, it's like I said, a horizontal shoot 'em up type game, where we fly across the screen and we have to shoot these enemies. Now you have to defeat 50 enemies, otherwise the stage loops. I don't actually manage to get the 50 enemies on the first try. The main thing you want to do is you want to try to shoot the enemies as quick as possible and pick up their hearts, because new groups don't spawn until you either all the enemies are defeated and all the hearts are picked up. So totem there, and I'm just lousy at shooting. I'm missing everything. So we have an interesting enemy. When you hit it, it splits into 3 parts. I don't defeat any of them. These are good enemies to rack up kills on, these sirens. If you get in the right position, you can take out all 4 of them with 1 shot. And hopefully they're in, if you're in that position, you'll be able to pick up their hearts right away as soon as you defeat them. But I really was out of position and didn't finish them off. So about halfway through the level here, when you get to the block area, then we're going to get to this area where there's ghosts. I'm just showing off the 8 barrels that I got. The 8 bottles I got for the barrel. Once you get to the ghosts, that's pretty much the end of the level. You can tell if you've defeated 50 enemies, because after the second set of ghosts coming up, if the platform here, where these ghosts appear, is red, then you know that, okay, I've defeated enough and I'm going to go on to fight Medusa. But I didn't, so I'm going to have to go do another loop through. So, now because I had to defeat 50 enemies and I was going to pick up their hearts, obviously, that's why I was able to enter this stage without the 999 hearts. But if you're going for the best ending, you want to have the maxed out hearts for the end. So, I've already maxed out my hearts, don't have to worry about it again. I just have to worry about getting through, hopefully without losing any more life. Or enough life to use a bottle. Medusa is very easy as a final boss. There's a safe zone where you can go. I was afraid to fight Medusa because my older cousin Bill, he was really good at video games growing up, and he actually helped us set up our Nintendo and our Super Nintendo. My brother and I, when we were younger. And you know, he'd tell us about games and stuff, and he was telling us about Kid Icarus, and we hadn't beat it at the time yet, but he had. But we did get to World 2 and beat the Hydru enemy, the boss, and he was telling us about Medusa. He's like, Medusa's like as big as the screen and shoots out these snakes that are as big as the Hydru boss. I'm like, wow, that must be really tough, you know, an enemy the size of the screen, and it's lackeys that it shoots out as big as the second fortress boss. Luckily though, much weaker than the second fortress boss, because these snakes that Medusa shoots out of her hair are actually defeated in 1 hit. They endlessly spawn, but so we saw that red there, so now we know we're on to Medusa. Here's Medusa. It's just a big. Actually, you'll see Medusa is in that robot head there. And Medusa just shoots lasers, but if you basically stay at eye level to Medusa, the lasers are going to shoot below your feet, and you should be able to pick off the Thanatos snakes that fall out of her hair as you're shooting the arrows. See, I shouldn't even take damage at Medusa. Just finish her off, and she appears behind the eye. Banish her back to the underworld, and we meet Palatuna, the goddess of light. And because we've maxed out everything, we've maxed out our hearts, our arrows, our strength, our life meter, and got the 3 treasures, we get the best ending where Palatuna turns us into grown man and gives us a kiss, and these angels fly around. Medusa is destroyed and the light of peace returned to Angel Land, but in order to maintain peace, Pit's struggle continues. So we get the staff roll, and then at the end you just press start, and you basically play through the game again, but rather than starting at the beginning, where you had like one life bar and weakest arrows, you'll actually start with everything you've accomplished in the first round. So I'll have the longbow, the crystal wand, the fire arrows, I'll have the 5 arrow strength, and I'll have a full strength, the endurance hit points, and all the bottles and feathers that I brought in from the first run that I went through here. And I guess that's just the game's way if you didn't get the best ending. Because like I said, you have to hit every single one of those arrow upgrade rooms in order to get the best ending. So you might have missed one on your first time through, getting those skill points. Probably the one in 2-2. So this is another way to go through the game again and maybe get the best ending. But speaking of endings, I'm going to show off all the other endings. So these work on the Wii Virtual Console. So if you max out 3 of the 4 things, don't max out all 4, Palatunia will just turn you into an adult. But we'll miss the kiss. If you max out 2 things, she basically will turn you into a soldier, a captain, give you a special hat, with a nice plume on it. I guess that donates your officer rank. If you only maxed out 1 of your things, you basically become just a foot soldier. You just get a normal helmet and a spear. And if you don't max out anything, which is actually probably the hardest thing in the game to do, because you have so little life, so little strength, to be able to defeat the game like this, I think it would be the toughest. But she just says, you're not fit to be in the army, and she basically makes you a farmer. She gives you a farmer's hat and a sickle, so I guess you gotta go out and tend to the fields. But as for the rest of y'all, I hope you enjoyed this through, and you come back for my other future playthroughs. Take care, have a good one, thanks for following along. Bye.